we have seen shifts, seen some very encouraging signs on the right of people understanding that free markets are great, but we've become a victim of their success. And we don't have to dismiss the arguments of economic liberals to find a way to value certain elements of social conservatism. We should support family life.
Yes. So you actually pick up on one of the recommendations that I make in the practical policy side of the book, which is a pretty robust commitment to helping people form families. And in particular, with an awareness of the ways in which in advanced capitalist societies, how difficult that is, how difficult it is for young people to be able, not just to be able to get married and to begin to settle down, given the demands of especially if you're in the aspire or you're in the ruling class and you want to be capable of being a global cog in the global economic machine, but the way in which it's so difficult because of the financial burdens and the financial challenges of be able to buy a house, to get into a home, so that taking some substantial percentage, 5-6% up to 10%. I mean, I don't know what the percentage is, but let's say 5% of our national budget, and devoting that to supporting, not that a parent has to stay at home, but if you want to stay at home and raise your children, you can.
You do that by subsidizing children or some kind of child credit or
I think it actually has to be, you're going to get some money and you can use this money to pay your mortgage, or you can use this money to pay childcare. But this is important enough for us that you should be able to afford to live, to be able to form a family if you choose to do so. Now, of course, the people who are yelling and screaming about this the most are conservatives, but it's conservatives, so-called, quote unquote, who are actually liberals. They're libertarians, and they think that merely to have the right to form a family is sufficient. It's up to you whether you have the means and you have the, sort of the ability and capacity to form a family. And so this is where I want to say that the problem is not just that it's one of balancing, it's that there's a liberal ethos that runs through both parties that tends to predominate in both parties. And on the Republican side, at least until recently, that's been the economic libertarian side. And that's still the side that's pretty dominated by the right, what's called right, I would call it right liberal donor class. So the messaging and the set of commitments are not really changing there, although people like me, who are getting constantly lambasted by these people, want to argue that, people like me are the most dangerous folks because we are arguing from a conservative direction about the need both to limit the rapaciousness of the marketplace and to provide public benefits in areas where, if you really are a conservative, you want to see family formation. You want to see people being able to have children. You want them to be able to raise them if they want with a parent, or one or both parents being able to stay at home at least part of the time. But at the same time, we have those on the left who would, sort of scream, well, this valorizes the idea that family is somehow, something we should valorize. That family is just one way people organize themselves. And why should our tax money go to support, people who just want to be breeders? And so both sides, the liberal side of both sides, work hand in glove, arguing against these kinds of what I would see, and maybe you would see, as very sensible.
Well, they seem very sensible to me, which, as in fact, pragmatic adjustments throughout. If a free society and a free economy in the 21st century were generating great incomes for people on the lower end of the scale, in which they could still function as a two-parent family, I don't think I'd have a problem with it. But obviously things have occurred in the global economy. We've brought in an entire swath of human beings into the global economy that were not there only 20 years ago, let alone 50 years ago. And so inevitably we should protect and adjust and do that. I think of this as a pragmatic adjustment in a liberal society that is not denying. You keep thinking that because we live in a liberal society, no one can have a non-liberal idea. I don't think that's true. I think you can have a liberal society in which you can attempt to redistribute wealth. you can attempt to encourage the family in terms of government policies. I don't think you can do much more than that. But it seems to me you would want to do more than that. You also favor things like, getting us a Sabbath day back.